From the Middle is proud to be a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Welcome to episode number 220 of From the Middle. We are three middle class guys living in the middle chapters of our lives, something about something middle. We start off this week talking about the least expensive hot pop. Least expensive? Boy, we're going to go for take three. No, I'm going to keep going. Least offensive hot pop. It's a back to school time. We know we've talked about that the past couple of weeks, but now we're really into it and we're noticing some changes. And then we talk about expensive stinky cheese, and then we get political, talking Oliver Anthony, peanut allergies, and people not moving over in airplanes. After that, we talk about what we're streaming and not watching on cable. Looking at you, Spectrum and Disney. Get your stuff together. And remote playing a PlayStation. What is that? You all probably already know. We just found out. And then we finish off talking about Suits and F1 and how winning all the time can be boring. Enjoy.
Oh, for the love.
Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it?
You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved. From the middle after dark over here.
So if you're in a hotel and you open the little fridge, we know what it means when the scale goes from one snowflake symbol to three snowflake symbols. But what do you do if they're just bars that get taller? Does that mean it's more power, or does that mean it's temperature up?
Interesting question.
There's no numbers. There's no snowflakes. It's just bars that get taller.
Are the bars blue?
They're blue, but they're around a circle, so they're going out from the middle, making a taller bar.
Right. My first
There's no
inclination. There's no red.
There's no red.
My first inclination is more blue means colder. But
the temperature is higher.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be sure enough of myself to like crank it. I would just like put her dead in the middle.
So if there are six of those bars, you're just going to go between bar 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you just lean in, and if tomorrow morning you have a hot Mountain Dew, you just go, at least I know. You know? My Mountain Dew is hot and sludge, but at least I know now that was
here's a fair question, and would you rather have a hot Mountain Dew that you can still open and drink, or a frozen Mountain Dew that you're opening and now you have to wait?
Frozen, because if that sits out for a little bit and it gets slushy, man, is that heaven. You're just drinking that slushy Mountain Dew right out of the can.
Unless you're looking to chug it, and then you have get like one good swallow, and then you're like, now I have to wait more.
No, I'm letting that sucker sit out until I come back to the hotel, and then I'm gonna chug a Mountain Dew slushy later. Is what
You're gonna go out and buy a fresh Mountain Dew, and then later have another Mountain Dew, so you get two Mountain Dews out of the deal.
Yeah, let's be honest. Corey's not staying at Motel 8s. His lobby has drinks in it. Okay, like there's a whole nook in a corner of that lobby that's got unlimited snacks and drinks and things that can go on his room tab. Okay.
Sure.
So you go find another drink and you come back to a Mountain Dew slushie, my friend.
It's the only way you can justify an $8 can of Mountain Dew.
Absolutely.
And I know this is going to sound weird, but I think Mountain Dew is one of those drinks that tastes differently depending on its temperature.
Sure.
Is that true for all drinks? I feel like Mountain Dew has a volatility scale, like a hot Mountain Dew that's been sitting in the sun and you go and grab it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that turns into borderline like the ooze that mutated the Ninja Turtles, right?
I was gonna say more of its artificial citrusness feels like it comes out when it's
What's the least offensive hot pop? Is it like Sprite or Starry or one of the clear ones?
The least
Oh,
offensive hot pop. That's the title of this episode.
Yeah. So if you're gonna have a hot soda that's been sitting out in the sun, it's certainly not root beer. I mean, that could end the world. It's not root beer.
Going back to last week's episode, talking about Kolsch, I asked Stefan, who is a connoisseur of the Cologne-based ale. I said, if I blindfolded you and put the most popular brands of Kolsch in front of you in unmarked 2-liter, not 2-liter, 0.2 of a liter glasses that it gets served in, would you be able to tell the difference? And he said it depends on the temperature. He said if they're all very cold, it's hard to discern a difference. But if they're served not room temperature, colder than room temperature, but not ice cold, how they're supposed to be served, then I can tell the difference, which I thought was interesting. So is Mountain Dew like that?
It ain't good. I think I can just say it ain't good.
Yeah, if it's bad all the time, we just don't care because it's ice cold out of our fridge.
That is possible.
Mm-hmm.
It is possible. I mean, there's this thing among whiskey drinkers that like people who are really into whiskey like don't do what some people think is a good idea, which is store their liquor in a freezer. Because first of all, there's no reason to store liquor in a freezer other than I want it to be as cold as possible when I drink it.
Sure.
But then like the whiskey connoisseurs are like, well, you can't taste it then. You lose a lot of flavor there. But maybe like that's what people want. Maybe people don't like very flavorful whiskeys. They want a very bland whiskey, in which case they could probably buy something cheaper. But yeah, no, I wonder that, Corey, if like we all just don't really like Mountain Dew.
But we love cold Mountain Dew. Speaking of whiskey, how's the first week of school going? The second week of school. How you guys? I mean, this is like really big deal for Finley, Dylan. Like she's going to kindergarten, and Kendall, you're back in the full swing. So I'm curious. We talked about first day craziness, first week craziness. How's it going? How they doing?
Go ahead, Dylan. First day of kindergarten is super exciting. First go around with the kid and real school,
Yeah, sometimes it's not so much at least so far, it's not so much like what she personally has experienced, but herself, but what she's witnessed, and then trying to decode the story. Like, whoa. So, other children being put in a hole in recess. And you're like, wait a second. Who was put in a hole and how deep? Is this like a divot in the ground where like a kid's ankles are buried from the ankle down? Or is this like a hole a child can't get out of? Like, those are very different stories. Another student has kissed my child's hair. So that's the thing that you're trying to understand that story. And then just understanding some of the different food items that came out and how she would want to describe those from lunch. Some days she's packed, some days she's bought lunch. It's been very interesting. She's had a lot of fun. It's we were really hoping that she would have been like, certainly she's got to be tired after the first week, right? So like she'd sleep in, she'd want to go to bed early. I somehow, like some kind of mutant superhero creation story, she's drawing power from it in a way we never could have predicted. And the Energizer battery just got charged up again, and the bunny is back off. So like, she's doing great. She's loving it. She's energized by it. And it feels a little bit like not sleeping when you have a newborn. It's because now you're getting up earlier, and she's just got all the energy, and you're like, I don't understand. So it's fun.
For the first time in your wife's life since having a child, she has a good chunk of her days. What's that been like for her?
Yeah, so far so good. She's kept herself pretty busy with some stuff that was kind of already in motion or stuff she wanted to do, and she has some projects and books she wants to read and shows to watch. So Yeah, I think so far so good. Like she's just excited. I think she feels like it goes pretty fast still. Like by the time you drop off and then get back and kind of get into doing something and then you have lunch and then oh well I got to be there a little early to pick them up. I think the day goes pretty fast for her, but she's
Indeed,
definitely
yeah.
she's enjoying it.
Maybe that's a fun question for the middlers out there. If you have kids that are older than kindergarten age, do you remember those days putting them on the bus for the first time with a backpack full of supplies with their names written on it individually with little strips of masking tape so they don't get their royal blue crayon lost? And do you remember what it was like to gain a lot of time back in your day? That'd be fun. We'd love to hear from you. Comment below. Kendall, how are your kids doing?
Yeah, I do want to comment on the feeling that like it just feels like the day is over really quickly. I experience that too. Like mentally, it doesn't really seem like you've got a day to yourself because it's like it's not like 9 to 5, right? It's like 2 o'clock, and you're just kind of like working toward that, and you can't do anything that even might put you past that deadline.
Mm-hmm.
And so like you are still kind of trapped. And so what one might think is like most of a day feels more like a couple of hours in the morning. That's my experience with it. But um no, so we've crossed that threshold for at least one of our children where school isn't fun anymore. um and so he just entered into third grade, and so at least for him that's where that transition happened. He doesn't hate school. He's not like kicking and screaming trying to get out of it and that kind of thing. But like today, I was bringing him home from soccer practice and I started singing this corny dad song that I made up about how school is awesome. and and then I asked him, like, so what do you think, buddy? Is that like your number one top favorite song? I just made it up. He's like, no, nobody actually likes school. Like, when did that happen?
Hmm.
That's a
So then I
sad
asked him if it was his second favorite. It ended up being his fourth favorite.
Oh, well.
So, and then I added a guitar solo to it, and then he said it was his seventh favorite.
At least it's charting, right?
Yeah.
Were you able to pinpoint the catalyst for the change?
No, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I think it's just things are getting harder.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's. He kind of breezed through kindergarten, first and second grade, and
Mhm.
I think like the math and the reading is now getting to a point where he's got to work at it finally.
Yeah.
And I don't think he likes that as much, but he's still doing fine. Has a good attitude about it. So we're now on what will be the third full week of school minus Labor Day. And we full week number 1 went great without a hitch. Full week number 2, we had a kid with COVID. And then full week number 3, we've got a kid with strep. And so there's some back to school normalcy for you.
Yeah. Also, in the vein of kids being excited for school, I noticed the sabotaging starts almost immediately because even my daughter going from preschool to kindergarten, everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, tell me about your whatever." And then the first long weekend comes, like 2 weeks in, and everyone starts going, "Are you excited to go back?" Like you're already putting doubt in their little minds. Wait, should I be? Should I not be excited to go back?
Yeah.
That starts really soon. So as soon as the first break comes up, everyone's like, "Oh, I bet you wish you didn't have to go back, huh?"
Now that you have a couple weeks under your belt, let's be honest. That Monday was a little better, wasn't it?
You're just going to be begging for these short weeks for the next 12 years. That's just how it's going to go.
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
What
Well,
about you? You've been traveling, so you've been catching up a little bit on some of how their school's going.
Yes, but
you're
everybody,
traveling now again.
everybody's good in your house though now, right? Everybody's
Oh yeah,
Kendall.
Kendall.
Oh, right now?
Yeah,
No,
everybody's
kid
good.
with strep right now, sleeping
Oh.
in my bed. I'll be on the couch. Yeah.
Okay. Well, pray everybody gets through that quickly. That's not fun.
Thanks.
to add to the back to school craziness. Yes, I've been traveling, and between my wife and I, one of us is traveling the next 3 weeks. So it's just we're taking turns on the road and taking turns being the one that holds down the fort. So, yeah, but everybody's doing good. I think everybody's sort of in the groove of school. I think now the challenge is really for the first time we're having to be in two different places at once. So Sherry and I are having to split which parent goes to which kid's activity, and that's a bummer. Of course, you can just alternate so that each of us are getting to see the other kid do their thing. But flag football conflicts with cross country, both practices and games and meets. So that's, just a new phase of life for us where, yes, we have another driver, but that we can't clone ourselves and go see the other kid in the other activity. The app Marco Polo comes in really handy there because we can record videos of the kid doing the thing, and the other parent can watch it almost real time while they're at the other kid's event. So rather than do a FaceTime call or record individual videos and send those via iMessage, you just do this little video thing, stores them in the cloud. You can go back and watch it. So that's kind of how pro tip for you parents out there who have to do the same thing. If you haven't figured it out, Marco Polo is a great app for that. We are not endorsed by said app, and they're not giving us any money. That was free. So yeah, everybody's doing good.
Good. So what's the most money that you would be willing to pay for a block of cheese?
What event am I buying this for? Is this just to have at home?
Yeah. Just if you're like, man, I really want to go out on a limb here and try something fun. Pretend like you're a cheese head, not one of those like annoying Packer whatevers, but like a fan of good cheese. Probably not from Wisconsin.
I'm trying to figure out what features someone could tell me. If this were on QVC, this block of cheese, what would the bullet points be that were
manufactured by Guillermo Pendas in Spain at his family's Los Puertos factory and aged in the mountain caves of Asturias?
I was going to say, this isn't about bullet points. And this isn't about specs. This is about a story for Corey.
This is a story, yeah.
Story.
Well, that sounds like, how big is it?
4.8 pounds.
4 pounds.
How much would you be willing to pay?
Fancy cheese now. So is this is somebody in the cheese shop telling me this is a really good cheese?
Telling you that this is the best cheese that you're ever going to eat in your entire life.
This is not somebody at Kroger telling me that.
No, this is like an actual cheese person, and let's assume that they're going to be right, and you're convinced that they're going to be right. This will be your best cheese experience that you'll ever have.
See,
and you've got a big block. You can invite a whole bunch of people over, and y'all can share this together.
$50.
$50 for the best cheese of your life.
4 pounds.
4 pounds of it.
Is this a dense cheese, or is it really heavy, dense?
It's whatever you want it to be. It's 4 pounds.
Okay. If this is an actual cheese shop,
it is,
and they're really using that firm of language about this cheese, like they're really like, seriously, you can't import a better cheese from anywhere in the world. Maybe $80 to $100.
$80 to $100.
Kendall, don't tell the answer. Hold on, Dylan. I'm augmenting the question. Sebastian Maniscalco on his last episode says, I went to this cheese shop the other day. And he says to Pete that it's the best cheese he's ever had. And he now gets it out for his charcuterie boards for his celebrity friends. So it's been endorsed by Sebastian.
Oh, wow.
Now what do you say? What say you now?
Forget the fact that it was going to be the best cheese experience you've ever had. Now Sebastian Maniscalco's name is on it.
Yeah.
Does it go up?
It goes up a little more. I'm not saying it doubles, but and if it's not, I see, and there would have been follow-up questions like, what can I use this to make that doesn't require me like having caviar on the same charcuterie board or like anything crazy? Like, what are some kind of normal things I can make with this that would be really outstanding? I don't know. Maybe 120 to 150 then, maybe.
120 to 150 for all 4 pounds, 4.5,
Yeah.
whatever pounds.
Yeah, maybe. I feel crazy now a little bit, but
Okay. All right. So the aforementioned cheese sold recently last week at a world record price of $32,408.
well, see, this is why we're from the middle,
10
right?
cents.
This is why we're from the middle, because the biggest number we could probably have wrapped our heads around was like $500.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about cheeses.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is now I looked up this company, the Cabrillas blue cheese, which this is one of their blue cheeses. I think that this particular one was like a one-off. Like this isn't the way they usually do it. This one was special. I think
I would hope so. Yeah.
I think by aging it in these caves, because I don't think that that's a normal thing that they do. But you can buy roughly the same size block of cheese for about $200, $150 to $200, imported. So you could get this company's blue cheese for still considerably more than what you guys are willing to pay. Especially Corey. For Dylan, it's in the ballpark, I think. But you'd still be right up there just for their normal run of the mill stuff. Imported for one, it was like 180 or something like that I think I saw.
Although they would have lost me at blue cheese and I would have walked away entirely.
Well,
Corey's thinking olives and
but we were presupposing that you were convinced that this was going to be the best cheese experience of your life.
Yeah, sure.
Wow,
and this is special. This is a special one-off from like the tomb where Christ was buried and resurrected. That's where they put this cheese, is what you're saying?
Yes. They say the source of the environmental fungi in the air is what makes the flavor. So
yeah, cooked under the
this is the
lava
cheeses of Nazareth,
Atlantis, and with the water from I don't know, somewhere else.
So, get ready for this segue. Speaking of celebrities promoting orange things, did you hear Joe Rogan promoted this Oliver Anthony music guy with the fire red hair and beard playing a guitar in the woods?
Yeah, he had him on his show. Gave him an interview. Why wouldn't he? Yeah, that was.
Dylan, do you know about this guy? Can we do our? Oh, we almost have to pause and like Kendall cut this. Dylan needs to go watch it for a sec. And we're back. Dylan, just your first take on the song itself.
I had no idea that our friend Jeremy Kester went viral. That is wild.
Yeah, dude.
Congrats, Jerry. Your song is great. Super good. No, I'm sorry. What's his name? Anthony Oliver. What did I just search?
That's his stage name. That's actually his grandfather's name. Oliver Anthony is not
Oliver Anthony. I mean, really good. Like, really good. The lyrics are super interesting, super raw. Like, I just listened to it for the first time, and I think I've seen some articles floating around about how people were trying to apply this to a certain political party. And, he had to come out multiple times and go, whoa, this is more than that. And it's really interesting, really raw. And I think a lot of people, it doesn't surprise me at all that those lyrics went viral right now with how a lot of people are feeling. Just frustrated. There's a lot of very specific lines in there that make total sense right now. It's a really interesting song.
So Kendall will give more background and context. I just became aware of this a week or two ago, and knew that he had gone on Joe Rogan. And the other thing I knew was, like you said, half of the people are saying this is an anthem for liberals, and the other half are saying this is exactly what conservatives have been saying all along. And it's just interesting how people are politicizing it. Anyway, Kendall, go ahead with more. You have more color and background on this guy and sort of his story.
Yeah, no, because it totally interested me when I heard it. Like, I'm just very much into what's the story of this guy. And so for those who have gone back into his YouTube channel, he has an entire backlog of music, and it's all really good stuff. And it's the same, like, he's playing a resonator guitar and singing his heart out, on all kinds of things. Almost none of it is political, but it is usually quite emotional. Um, and that's who this guy is. And there was a local radio station who came across his very rough video that he's just shooting on an iPhone of himself. Like, he's not microphoned or anything like that. And the local radio station like pointed at this song, Richmond North of Richmond, and said, hey, we want to like record a slightly better mic'd up version of you singing this song, and make a new video and put it on our YouTube channel. And so he agreed to do that. That particular radio YouTube video is the one that particularly went viral, absolutely skyrocketed. And when it did, the initial reactions seemed to be coming from, when we're looking at the political side, the initial reactions seemed to be coming from the conservative side saying, hey, F you liberals, look at how viral this is becoming. Everybody agrees with us. And then like the knee jerk, I think, reaction from the liberal side was, wait, conservatives like this? We have to hate it now. and so I think it was CNN had an article that was kind of critical of the song. For those of us who have listened to the song, which is probably a lot of you, like they in like the first paragraph or two described the song as Oliver Anthony singing about complaining about working hard and paying taxes. That was their hot CNN take on this song, a criticism that he doesn't want to work hard or pay taxes. And obviously that's an out of context message of the song. But like since then, the liberals too have joined in and said, hey, actually, if you really look at the lyrics, here's what we think he's talking about. And then it went so far as like Republicans, it was Ron DeSantis at the first presidential primary debate who quoted the song during like his opening speech. And then that's when Oliver Anthony came out and basically told everybody to stop it.
I was going to say, did he quote it or did he misquote it? Because that makes a big. I mean, did he accurately relay what he?
Well, he was talking. DeSantis was talking about liberals in Washington and how he thinks that they need to be defeated, and he called them the Richmond North of Richmond.
Got it. Okay.
So that's how he did that. And so Oliver Anthony came out later and said, and basically just said, listen, all those people up on that stage, they're the ones I'm talking about. So it's quite ironic. And so like, and he specifically went after the conservatives for embracing it. He went after the liberals for both embracing it and being critical of it. And so he's, and Oliver Anthony himself has said that he considers himself like dead center politically. But at the same time, he also tries to say that the song isn't political, but then, you know, as he's talking more about it, like he starts talking about how it is political.
Right.
And so it's one of those situations, but
he clearly he got his Bible out and read from it on Joe Rogan's podcast, which to some he falls on one side.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you're interested in what Oliver Anthony himself thinks or believes, then the answer is he doesn't like Republicans nor Democrats. Right. He just doesn't like Washington.
I remember hearing it for the first time, and I think he even says, like, technically he says about his own voice, I'm probably not doing some of the right things that you're supposed to do as a vocalist, but I don't care. I just sing from my heart, and that's what comes out, which I personally
Yeah.
love the sort of grit and the way that he sings. Anyway, I remember thinking, whoa, this is full of emotion and this is very authentic. And I got chills when one commenter said, like, this is the stuff that revolutions are like start with. And it's not, that's not choosing a side. That's just people being fed up with the state of things, and it just really feeling very true for the singer, right? Like you can't fake that. So I thought it was cool. And then I saw a hilarious meme that was like, I think it was the Babylon Bee said something like, country music doesn't know what to do with the guy that's actually from the country and actually singing something authentic or something like that.
That's funny.
Yeah, country music record labels don't know what to do with the guy that's actually from the country singing authentic lyrics or something.
He's gotten numerous deals offers and he has turned them all down. And I mean he could have guaranteed himself millions of dollars and decided not to.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to watch where this goes for sure.
Yeah. The interesting, I forget which artist it was. There's an artist who made a comment on that said, if he would have signed a deal before releasing that song, he wouldn't have been allowed to release that song.
Yep. It's very true. Anyway, interesting times. So we'll keep an eye on Oliver Anthony music, and we're also going to take a break and hear from some of our friends in Odd Pods Media.
Hey, I'm Lauren.
And I'm John.
And we host the Beard Al Podcast, the podcast where we talk about two of the greatest things in the world, beer and Weird Al.
And a lot of other things. We're funny.
Yeah, that's basically what I told him to say. Good job with your script.
Listened.
Yay! But no, seriously, we try and pair a beer with a Weird Al song and talk about both things and go where the conversation takes us. It's fun, I promise. You'll like it.
Yeah, I mean, if you like talking about random things as well as, fine craft beers and some wonderful craft music.
So I don't know how you guys feel about this, and if it touches too close to home for someone, I'm sorry, but it seems like when I was in school back in my day, there was no such thing as peanut allergies. And if there were, it wasn't taken very seriously. But then, if I'm being honest, I don't even remember an instance where a teacher said, all right, class, we have someone in the class that can't have peanuts around them or their throat will swell up and they will die. Does it feel like since we were kids that like skyrocketed in numbers? And then I've done some like idiot research to find that we used to think that introducing peanuts to babies earlier was, I might have this wrong, better. And then that backfired, which created the problem, or we stopped introducing peanuts early in babies. And then because that they couldn't build up certain things. And that's why it started. I don't know. Anyway, there's a reason that medical professionals know. I'm just saying in general, is this something you guys feel like has become super serious over time?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's. I mean, I've not done the research on the actual numbers, but it does seem like there are more peanut allergies these days than there used to be. That seems true.
Okay.
And I also think it's legitimate because it's, pretty hard to fake anaphylaxis. So. So I don't think that it's illegitimate. I don't think it's like people overdiagnosing peanut allergies. So I don't think that, but but at the same time, I don't know what the issue would be.
Yeah, it's like how like nobody had ever heard of gluten-free however many years ago, and then but that we changed the way that we process our grains, and therefore that changed people's reaction to it. So
jury's out on that one.
Yeah. That's what
I feel like feel like having much of an uneducated opinion on this will get us fan mail really quickly. So
Any way we can get it, brother.
I will say and only say it does feel like that was never brought up when I was young, and now it is brought up a lot more. So whether a lot more doctors are just detecting it now with allergy tests than they used to, and a lot more kids when we were younger were just dealing with those allergic reactions, or they just somehow stayed away enough from it. I don't know. I don't know. I know nothing on the subject other than I don't remember anyone talking about it when I was a kid. And so I don't know what the kids with peanut allergies were doing. Like it was a free for all and it was chaos. And now at least there's some order because the schools are informed and the lunch people are informed. And I don't know.
Yeah, you can correct me, but the way that I heard it was that peanuts are one of those foods that you have to be careful how you introduce to an infant. And some pediatricians thought it's better if we delay that introduction somewhat. And because of the delay, whatever your body needs to be able to eat peanuts with no problem, it actually made it worse as opposed whatever. That's my idiot take on the thing that I read.
Kind of similar question. So when we were having our daughter, obviously you go to register and huge stores with every type of widget, gadget, blanket, safety thing exists where you can register and there's all this stuff. I'm not saying like none of it works. This isn't like the seatbelt gets rolled out and I'm like, I had more freedom when I didn't have a seatbelt in my car. This isn't that. I think infants need car seats. I think we've learned some things with infants that are unsafe. But does it feel like now a whole industry has massively grown up around making parents afraid of theoretical things that could happen to their babies that like aren't even going to happen? Now they're just scaring you into like, if you don't strap every piece of furniture to the wall, everything's going to fall on your child. Every dresser, every TV, every single piece of anything in your home needs to be nailed to the wall. You need these bumpers on every corner and every handle and every door and everything, or they will drink toxic. I guess at some point, if there's an expert on this stuff, I'd love to see a report that's like, these 5 to 10 things that you can buy for your infant are actually useful, and the rest of it is just marketing bull crap. Like, or I would love an expert to go, no, every extra safety item that you put in your house is another 1.5% chance that a child doesn't die from a stupid accident in their house. It just feels like there's so much marketing crap for like child safety that I don't know where, as a parent, how do you even know? And then where do you draw the line? Because you could spend yourself into bankruptcy buying every organic food and safer strap and whatever thing is available to purchase. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? Like, how much of this is actual bull crap and how much of it is actually significantly increasing child safety? Car seat. Yes, obviously a car seat is useful, just like a seatbelt is useful. We know now not to shove a bunch of blankets in the crib with your kid when they're super young. Just wrap them and lay them in there and don't shove a bunch of blankets in there. Like, there's certain things that we know now are just like better. But I don't know. I would love an actual expert on like child safety, infant safety expert to come on the podcast and talk about all the different stuff that's marketed out there.
I think that sliding scale is going to be as varied as the new parent and how much that person generally worries anyway.
Yeah.
Like, because I could introduce you to people right now who have bought everything all but padded walls for their house. Not literally, but like they just very much freak out about all kinds of things. And so
it's like, if you're telling me there's a 1,000% chance this could make my baby safer, I don't care if it's $900. I'm buying it.
I know people that send Sherry and I the worst article, like a Dateline article or a Consumer Reports thing about the one case where a large TV did fall on a child, and like that person feels like it's their job to send it to every parent. And like, if all you need is one story, then yeah, you're going to be the type of person that's buying those little foam things that go on the edge of your coffee table.
Yeah. So what's the thing? Because I'm sure we bought more of it than we needed. I want to know, like, what's the? I'd love an expert to go, or maybe that's the article. They just write an article and go, here's the 10 to 15 things you actually need to keep your baby significantly safer, not like, infinitesimally small increases in the percentage of chance.
Right. Yeah. Like, do these 5 things and you've taken care of 85% of the problems.
Yeah, exactly.
We've agreed that cars have airbags and seatbelts, and that's about as far as the safety measures go. And yes, there are instances where these freak things are going to happen, where a person gets ejected out of the back right window, but that generally doesn't happen. So we're not going to build walls in between the front and second row.
Yeah. So there's a question for you. And can I eat peanuts while driving? That's the question. What's the percentage of chance I choke on a peanut while driving?
And sadly, I only bring up my question because we were one of the lucky classes that in our welcome to this class folder got a big neon sheet that said, we have a peanut allergy in this class. And then parents get upset because, well, my kid can't eat some of the things that other kids eat, so they can only eat trail mix that has peanuts in it. I don't think it's fair that I should be catering to one person with a peanut allergy if you're not going to be willing to cater to my child who can only have peanuts. So I understand, but I mean, it's just like, oh God.
Yeah. I don't know.
I was just going to say, and there's not a good way to tell off one set of those parents, like there's not. I understand.
I mean, that's one where you just have to pick a side and go with it. Like,
yeah, then the allergy kid is going to go sit in this room by themselves during lunch, but
then they're not getting the same social experience that the other kids are getting.
Well, you know what? I would say that my kid can only eat peanut trail mix parent is being petty on purpose, and that's the one that I point at and say, you just need to stop it.
It's just crazy times out there. We're making artists. We're just saying what we want them to be, and we're polarizing over peanuts.
But yeah, there's enough nutless options for you and your nutless husband that you can just.
Hey, here's a change of topics. Tell me why this would happen. And Midlers, I'm going to keep doing call to actions on this episode. Sometimes I think we just talk and forget to tie it to you all. So we need you to weigh in, comment below, let us know your thoughts on peanuts and the sliding scale of safety. Why would a person in the middle seat of 3 airplane seats who doesn't have someone on the window not move over when someone sits in the aisle? So big guy in the aisle, me, skinny guy in the middle, doors have shut, we're ready to go. Why wouldn't that guy scoot over? He knows everybody's on the plane.
Were you wearing Artius Man products?
Great question. I was.
That's your answer, my friend.
Boom. Solved.
Hey, that's a great time to say that if you don't have any Artius Man products, you need to get some. They smell amazing. And you're almost guaranteed that people will crowd you on planes when they don't need to. So go to artiusman.com. That's ARTIUSMAN.com and use promo code the middle, all one word, the middle at checkout to get 25% off of your first order. Kendall, that's it. I think that's the problem.
A couple other questions. Was this person tall?
I would say they were 5'10".
No. Anyone under all the 5'9" and 5'8" and 5'7" guys just quit listening.
As soon as you said 5 something, the answer is no. It's pretty normal.
Yeah. Maybe they're an extreme rule follower, and that was the seat that they bought, and they feel like they can't move from that seat. Maybe they
That's a good point. There are some people who don't travel much who think they have to stay and they're assigned and might not know that it's common practice that once the doors are shut and everybody's boarded that you spread out. That's a good point.
Also, in the same way that like some people at a sporting event that's 70% capacity, some people just won't move forward, even though like the usher might come over and go, "Hey, you all can move down." There's some nerve.
This is your photo from the airplane girl at the ticket counter. She's like, "I'll pick up my bags and move when there's more. I'm not going to do it in little increments."
Right. There's some nervousness about that. Maybe he's the kind of person that likes rubbing up against other people.
Well, then
you seemed like a neat target.
So I'm sitting there and I think, oh, surely he's going to scooch over because I'm big. Like I don't want to be up in his grill. Like I don't ever know where to put my arms because of my big burly chest. I have to like hold my own arms in. It's annoying. So I'm like, he's surely going to move over. And then the door's shut and he doesn't. But he's kind of on his phone reading, not paying attention. So I'm like, maybe he just doesn't realize that everybody's boarded and he can scooch over now. Okay, well, if I said something, what would I say? I could say like, hey, man, you can scooch over if you want to. But then will he think that I want him to move for some reason? Perhaps because of the color of his skin? Oh, great.
Oh, boy.
Maybe.
Now too much time has passed. Now I definitely can't say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, after too much time, you definitely can't. My height question was sometimes the curved wall, if you're taller or bigger, actually feels more like suffocating than it does helpful with the window. Maybe he doesn't like window seats. He has a fear of heights. Did he close the window? Or did he leave it open, or was it already open, or did he open it?
That's a good question.
Maybe he doesn't like looking out the window. You'd think in that instance you would have bought the aisle seat, but maybe that's all that was left was the middle seat.
So in his view, the middle seat is the second best seat.
Right. And that's the chance of what he could have gotten.
Maybe he was able to look at it.
Maybe extremely lazy and just wanted to save himself one step.
Yeah. Maybe this was elaborate chess. Maybe he was thinking, if I leave the window seat open, this guy will probably ask to move over. Then I'll move to the aisle seat, but I just got to wait for him to ask to move to the window seat.
I'm glad I have you guys. I need you like in real time to be able to give me reasons why. Because, in that moment, if you're like Sebastian Maniscalco or sometimes Dylan, you think there's no reason why this guy wouldn't move. So I needed to be more thoughtful and consider that perhaps there's a story that I don't know anything about.
Next time you could just go, hey man, got a question for you.
Oh, then I was going to wait until we landed and do the thing that I asked you all to do, which was interview a person why they are the way they are.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, can I ask? I was playing it out in my head. So I have this podcast and
question for science, scientific quandary. We got a question. I want to understand.
Well, my intro was going to be, I host this podcast and we're just very interested in human behavior. I think it's just funny. Not a big deal. Very curious as to why you didn't move over. But then I thought all he's going to be thinking about the rest of the day is, why would that guy ask me after we landed? And why didn't he just say something in the beginning? And the reality is he wasn't going to think about it much beyond that exchange at all.
I think maybe giving him an out of putting it on yourself would work in those situations. So
hey,
you start with why didn't you do this or why did you do that? Start with I figure that most people would have moved over in that situation, and I noticed that you didn't, and I'm wondering why that is. Or maybe now you're thinking,
that's good.
Am I the idiot for not saying something about it?
That's good. I like your delivery.
And then at the end, I like it because you're still saying, "Why are you the way that you are?"
You are. You
But,
are. But you're trying not to offend, and you're I feel like self-deprecation goes a long way.
100%. That was good. That was good delivery. That's what I'm going to do the next time that happens.
Or you'll have to you'll frame it for ongoing for different situations. You could frame it in a way that makes him very like you could say, "Hey, you start with your social thing. We're very interested in whatever we have podcast." Most people would have been really opportunistic with a chance to take a window seat that wasn't theirs. And I noticed,
Or to just have extra space.
it seemed like, or to just have extra space because they were only thinking about themselves. I noticed you just really stuck to your guns with your middle seat, and I like the cut of your jib. I'm curious
What about that?
if you could tell me a little more about your decision there, and why you didn't just look out for yourself. So now you're afraid, like he's the hero, and you're like, most people would have been totally selfish, and you didn't do that. And I
admire how you just totally blew past what I consider to be common courtesy. Tell me more about that.
You know what? My favorite part of what Dylan just said, and what I think we need to do from here on out, because this now makes 2 weeks in a row, is figuring out how to fit in the phrase "cut of your jib" into the podcast. I appreciate the heck out of that, Dylan.
Oh, that's awesome.
I like the cut of your jib.
Yeah, thank you.
So I failed at the thing that I asked us to do because I was overthinking how I would ask in the moment and didn't want there to be a video of me getting yelled at on a plane because someone thought I was something I'm not.
Yeah, I feel like a video is a little bit too confrontational too. I'd be happy with just reporting afterward.
Yes.
I think there is some value in being prepared for the least likely scenario, though, because if you're going to go through that much trouble to phrase your question, you should also be prepared for this person to turn around with their camera and say, "What did you say to me?"
100%. That's what I'm talking about. So Midler's question one, why do you think the individual chose not to move? And two, if you were going to say something, how would you phrase it?
Or are we just putting proverbial bumpers on the proverbial coffee table, trying to dance around how to ask this question?
Oh, I love this podcast.
Real hard-hitting questions.
Guys, football's back.
Very exciting.
Football is back.
If you didn't get your game shut off right before it started. Go ahead, Kendall.
If you didn't get your game shut up. Yeah, no, I had the old brats and sauerkraut, which is my little Saturday game day tradition. And it's been, a full 3 seasons since I've had that meal, and it was spectacular. I had leftovers for lunch the following Monday. And
you eat it cold the following day?
I don't. A lot of things I do eat cold. Brats and sauerkraut, I don't. I throw that back in the pot and heat it up.
Yep. All right.
Makes sense.
For sure.
You even notice
it was so good. Some wonderful games. Colorado TCU, I think, is the story of the week. Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, first year at a major university, and knocks it out of the park against a roster dismantled TCU, but nonetheless defending national champion runner-up, and still ranked 17th, I think, is where they were.
Yeah, top 20 matchup on the road against a Power 5 conference opponent who, like you said, was just in the national title game. So, certainly nothing to sneeze at. And we haven't had any, that's been probably the best game. We haven't had any remarkable games the first couple weeks, kind of week 0, week 1. But that's certainly up there as one of the more interesting. I'm very excited. It was nice. We had some family over and we were down in the basement on the big TV with snacks and chips and watching football. And Ohio State got their first win. Michigan got their first win. for all of us to check our boxes. Very exciting. And then next year we'll have USC and UCLA as part of the Big Ten, watching some matchups we've never seen happen before, which is going to be pretty crazy.
And then after that, we're getting Oregon and Washington, which Washington, by the way, is supposed to be a strong man in the world of football this year. So I'm excited to see that, and it gives me a reason to root for Washington and Oregon. Represent the Big Ten well in the future.
Yeah, and I think I saw something like the Pac-12 has gone 12-0 already out of conference with like a 20 or 30 point differential on their win on the win. So like even though it's exploding, the Pac-12 has had a really good start to this season.
Yeah,
enjoy it while it lasts.
Pretty
Pac-12.
soon, 4 of those wins will be Big Ten wins. So
exactly right.
You'll have that. No, it was interesting because the sort of like the big profile games that everybody was expecting, like these might be the good games to watch. LSU, Florida State being one of those, which was a good game. And then the fourth quarter happened and everything fell apart for LSU. But I feel like there's always good games. It just depends on which ones like you're looking for. Or Colorado TCU, for example. Only reason anybody watched that game was because of Coach Prime. But it otherwise would have been under the radar, and we wouldn't have known that it was a good game. One of those examples, I was watching highlights of Nebraska, Minnesota. That was an astounding game. But again, 2 unranked teams that they're not expected to do anything. Nobody watched it. But man, I wish I would have watched that one because it was the ending. The last 4 minutes of that game were pretty big. So college football's back. I'm excited for it. NFL's coming back next week. I'm going to be doing fantasy football for the first time ever. And I'm not going to be taking it all that seriously. Never done it. Don't really know how. My guess is a draft day will come and go and I'll have completely forgot about it. And so I'll have like whatever the computer decided I should get. And that
I was going to say
strategy.
If our episode on how you choose your March Madness bracket has taught us nothing, you go by which mascot could beat which mascot in a battle and or colors. Whose color palette do you like the best?
So, and then so there's that. So that's my TV has been spent doing that, and then watching other stuff has been spent like looking at highlights of games I didn't watch and that kind of thing. I'm on season 5 of Port Protection Alaska right now. Continues to be a very interesting show to me, and I'm not going to say who, just in case anybody wants to go back and watch those. But the one of my absolute favorite, not one of my favorite resident of Port Protection passed away between seasons 4 and 5. So
sorry for your loss.
Yeah, so it's been sad, and yeah, but good show. I love the show. I can watch it with the kids. If you're okay with like the PG-13 swear words, so bitch and ass and shit. If your kids are old enough to hear those words and be okay with it, then you can watch with your kids. I watch it with my kids, and those things are fine.
Port Protection. That sounds like a show I want to start.
It's a lot like Alone.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
I feel drawn to it because of that.
Very, very similar. Living off the land kind of people. That's what they all are.
Well, we texted about it last week before the guys help me which game it was. That was the big issue.
Oh, yeah.
Utah, Florida.
Yeah, Utah, Florida. Right before the game was teed up and now we're going to go to the field. It shuts off contract negotiations between Disney and Spectrum. And yeah, so Sherry, you can imagine, super excited to watch college football, sitting in her chair. She's got her snack and she's got her drink and she's got her feet kicked up, blanket across and ready to go. And I'm at a different event. And she texted me, what? Google ESPN, Utah, whatever, right now. Look what's happening. Twitter's lighting up. So they just dropped the coverage and she canceled cable that night, had to wait an hour and a half to cancel cable because so many people were calling to cancel Spectrum. And once she had made it past the first round of people to cancel, they sent her to like the super closer guy whose job it is to make sure that people get a better deal instead of leaving. Because once they leave, the chances of them coming back are slim. So we'd rather have them pay below what they're supposed to pay with all the people skills and all the charm to please try to get you to stay. And she was like, no, we're breaking up. I'll keep you for internet, but I'm getting rid of you for phone and cable. And we got YouTube TV, and it makes college game day very fun because you can do the multicast picture-in-picture thing, and it evenly distributes 4 images on your screen, and you just hover over which one you want for the audio of that game. So you're watching 4, but you only get audio of 1. And then when you click into it, you get it full screen. And when you hit menu to back out on your Apple TV remote, you go back to the 2x2, and you've got 4 games streaming at once. So there's all kinds of features.
We were flat out a better product. Yeah.
We were showing Dylan when he came over, and one of the things when you swipe down on YouTube TV is all the stats from the game, time of possession and player stats and all this stuff overlaid over top of the game in the background. So you're not losing any of the action. You're getting real-time stats that are clickable. So you can then click on the player just like you do in Apple TV when you want to see what other movies that actor has been in. You can kind of do that with players. And anyway, so after all that, we're saving $77 a month.
Boom. Easy peasy. You'll never want to go back.
Speaking of technology features that we didn't know we had, Dylan enlightened me to something that has changed my life. Dylan, over to you. Help the other dads out there.
Yeah. So for some of you that have heard of PlayStation Remote Play, I am an idiot because I'm just now talking about this. And if you haven't, it's something that I was like vaguely aware of, but I knew where we used to live, we didn't have good enough internet. So I just I probably heard about it and then just totally forgot about it. But I was looking at PlayStation just announced for PS5 a new product that's basically a Nintendo Switch. It's like a second screen with controllers for your same house. If you want to play PS5 games in your house on your Wi-Fi network on this little essentially Nintendo Switch second screen. It's not a console in this. It literally just lets you play what's on your main PS5. And I was looking at this article about it, and it said, or you can continue to do PlayStation Remote Play, which is using your Mac, your PC, your iPhone, your iPad, your Android phone or tablet, and use that as a second screen for your PS4 or PS5. I sort of went, I've never really tried that on the PS4, which I've now gotten rid of, and I have the PS5, which I haven't tried it on that. And I'm thinking now about sometimes as a dad, parent, if you've got whatever, your main TV might have kids shows on it a lot. And you don't always want to leave the family to go to another space to play games. So I'm thinking, I got to really see if this works. So we have an iPad Pro, and I grabbed one of the PS5 controllers, and I was upstairs sitting at the kitchen table playing PS5 on my iPad Pro. And it says like over Wi-Fi or mobile data. So if you've got like an iPad with a hotspot or whatever. And then I started thinking about how college football comes out next year. And this is a feature I will use a lot if I don't always want to go into the theater room in the basement and turn on the PS5, because I don't want to like blow off my family to play all the time. But if they're already doing something, I can be sitting in the same room talking to them while I'm also playing PlayStation 5 on my iPad. So it was this. I can
go from being not there to being there but not there.
Right. Which is a big difference, as most people know.
Is, yeah.
Very, very big difference. Not being in the same room is very different than being in the same room and not half paying attention.
So Dylan came over on Sunday, and he's telling me this. And as he's showing me, I can only think that I'm having the reaction that a grandma did when somebody showed her FaceTime for the first time. I'm going, wait, so it turns on my PlayStation in the other room just because I've Bluetooth connected my PlayStation controller to my iPad? And then is there going to be any lag? So can I play online? out.
So-
Can I do this from a hotel room in Manhattan next week?
So Corey's going to see if he can play Call of Duty from his hotel room, and he'll let us know next time. But yeah, you can even turn on your PlayStation remotely. It's not like you have to run and turn it on and then run back to your iPad. Like it'll turn it on and you can turn it off, and it's pretty cool. So if you're in a situation where that's helpful, PlayStation Remote Play, just Google it, and all the instructions are right there. How to make
Well, I
your
figure if it's been a thing for years and we're just now figuring it out, then it's going to help some other people out there. So
somebody somewhere could be using it and they aren't. It was relatively new to me, so very cool feature that I just learned about for the PS4 and PS5.
fun times.
Oh, are we talking streaming still? Season 6 of Suits. I've watched 3 episodes of Ahsoka. Having a good time. No new shows, so still on Suits, still on Ahsoka.
Still streaming Suits as well. Sherry and I aren't going through it as fast as y'all are. I just started Painkiller tonight on Netflix. Matthew Broderick and the story of how they started OxyContin. There is an N in there. It's not Oxycontin, it's Contin, which is a thing. Fascinating so far. I've heard nothing but good things from the people who have watched it. And in the world of sports, history was made this past week in Italy when my driver, Max Verstappen, set an all-time record for most consecutive wins in Formula One with 10 consecutive wins. He tied it last week. He passed it this week. The guy is unstoppable this year. It's almost boring. I rarely root for a team that always wins. I mean, the Buckeyes win a lot, but I feel like they let us down enough in big moments that you get that, like, oh, the pain of a loss on a big stage and then a winning season. So you get a little bit of both. When Max winning race after race after race, it's actually not exciting to watch. I wonder, like, these dynasty teams, fans of those teams are for when the Patriots won for so many years in the NFL. Did people just get like bored? Did they really get satisfied when they were just dominating? Or is it different because it's not a one-man sport?
Alabama, Nick Saban had to all but beg Alabama fans to quit leaving at halftime of their games. So it's definitely a thing. People get bored even with lots of winning.
If people aren't even providing a challenge, it's like, well, okay.
That's interesting. Yeah,
that's a new sentiment for me.
Yeah, I could see blowout wins. I mean, certainly if it's a game that I don't really care too much about, like for example, that LSU and Florida State game that I was talking about, it was fine until the entire fourth quarter when Florida State just really started to run away with it. And then like at some point then I'm like, well, this is done, and I switched the channel. And there's like, even if I had a reason to root for LSU or Florida State, I would have started watching something else anyway. Now, if it were a Michigan game, I would have stuck through. But yeah, no, it's definitely less exciting on a game to game basis. On a season to season basis, I don't think we've really experienced much like that, because even like the Patriots, much like Ohio State, much like Alabama, as far as a full season goes, like they're not champions every year. Which means like there's still something to work toward every year that has a question mark on it.
And I think those feel different somehow because you could still have a 9-10 season. And yeah, you may have had a tough loss, but you're like on the year, you crushed it. Yeah. I feel like races are different because they're individual little events that stack up and it's just one driver way out ahead the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It somehow feels different. It's getting to the point where so qualifying happens the day before the race, and that determines where they start the race the next day, right? So of the 20 cars, based on how you do in qualifying, that determines where you start on the grid for the race. It gets to the point where I actually hope Max, like his car breaks or something during qualifying, just so that I get the enjoyment of seeing him overtake cars on the race on Sunday. Because I know if he's starting in position 1, he's just going to get out to an early lead and lead the whole race. And you're just like,
do you think that would fix it? Like if there was a race, if the very next race happened and there's 10 laps left and he finds himself in a close second, does that make it more exciting for you? You still want him to get that next win, and now you're interested in the race.
Yeah, the race in Italy. So Italy is Ferrari's race. Ferrari fans are called tifosi, and they come out in droves with their red and their Ferrari flags. If you're Ferrari, you have to win at Italy. Well, one of Ferrari's drivers, Carlos, qualified to take pole position, which put Max in second. Max had a really hard time passing the Ferrari. The Ferraris both in position 1 and 3 because there's 2 drivers per team per race. They were really fast, and Max was struggling to pass them. He didn't pass him until I think lap 17. That 17 laps was the most fun I've had in the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
He had to work a little bit for something. So it's like a weird time.
Mm-hmm.
You almost pick another driver that is starting closer to the middle or the back of the pack just so you can like cheer somebody on when they make passes. Anyway, I'm getting into the depths of F1, but maybe the question for Middlers this week is, has it ever gotten boring following your team because they keep winning? We hear a lot about the opposite end of the spectrum. So fun questions this week to interact and engage with. We would love to hear from you. So at the bottom of every episode in the description somewhere, Kendall does 1, a very thoughtful write-up on what we talk about in that episode, but 2, a link to our LinkTree, which is 1 link to rule them all. It will get you to all the places you can find us on social media. You want to watch the videos on YouTube, see our pretty faces, and all the ways that you can reach out to us, whether that be through text, you can call, leave voicemails, you can text, you can email us, you can DM us, all of those ways. Answer any and all of the questions we asked this week. Let us know topic ideas, thoughts you have, questions you have. We'll give you very bad advice if you have questions. And we love interacting with you. It's one of our favorite things to do. We get texts every once in a while, emails every once in a while, but we want more. So keep it up and tell a friend if you enjoyed this week's episode. And we will tell you what we get up to next week in next week's episode.